Hey guys, it's Rebecca Oberstadt. I said in my live stream earlier that I would be doing like a recap video. I did lay down for a little bit, so my voice is kind of in and out. And yes, I'm still wearing my new coffee pajamas. They're super soft and comfy, and so I'm gonna film in them. I'm gonna be doing a recap of the mini controversy. I have used every shade in here, and I will be doing two different looks again with this palette as like a recap and showing you how I use them. So that's what this video is. I wrote down what colors I wanted to use. I'm going to be using the same like base color on both eyes. I'm going to be using the Diet Root Beer shade on both creases. So these are the brushes that I've been using with this palette, so I might as well, since all of my brushes are clean except for them, I'm going to be using them as well. This is a Farrah E35. This is a huge brush. This is one of the reasons why I don't talk about brushes when I'm using, just to give you a correlation to how big this is next to my eye. It takes up a pretty good portion of my eye space. I don't really talk about brushes when I'm doing makeup unless they're like smaller brushes because everybody has a different eye shape. So, I mean, if you want me to like talk about the brushes that I'm using, I will do that. I will try and link them. Farrah brushes range between $12 and like $18 a brush. I've got this one from Farrah. I have this double-ended one. Oh wait, this is a single-ended one. This is a 35E tapered blending. It's also pretty big like this one. This is the dual-ended one. This is the 22E shade and blend. So it's got like a shader side and then a blending side that's like domed on one side. And these all came from Ipsy. I have several of their brushes from the Midnight collection. This is from the Midnight collection. This is their 3 mini tapered blending. This is actually a nice little small, eye brush. So a lot of my brushes are either like Wet n Wild, Luxie, BH, or I have a couple of Asante brushes. I've got one or two Morphe brushes, and then I've got like a couple random ones here and there that I've gotten through Ipsy. So starting off with Diet Root Beer, this is a nice shade. This is a nice neutral undertone brown. It doesn't pull too warm, and I'm not going to do like a whole lot of like face makeup with this palette because it is like the hour of the day that it is right now that I'm filming this. I have a empties video to record after this, so you'll be seeing my pajamas one more time today. But this is a nice like super neutral brown. It's a darker brown than what most people would normally put in their like crease area. This is what they would probably use to darken up. But because Cry on My Couch is about the same color as my skin, there's no point in using it as like a crease color and then, or a transition color and then using this to darken. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I figured I would start off with like the same base color on my eyes. This color I haven't had any issues with when it comes to blending. I don't get issues with fallout. This one doesn't like bother my eyes. There's a couple of shades in here that like make my eyes sting pretty bad when I use them, whether it's like during application or even after application. I find that it causes my eyes to sting a little bit, and I'm not quite sure why that is, but I thought it was a little weird. Alright, now that I have this on and I'm happy with how it looks, I'm going to be going into Cry on My Couch above that on this eye. And I've been using a Wet n Wild. I got a Wet n Wild brush kit, and I will leave it linked down below. I was able to get it on sale for like $12.99. It's usually like $27, something like that. But if you use Shop Tagger, you can keep track of like when it goes on sale. I initially started buying the single Wet n Wild brushes on the Wet n Wild site, on the Amazon site for like 79 cents, 89, 99, $1.09, like in increments of like 10. A lot of my Wet n Wild brushes range between 79 cents and $1.29, and that's like cheap for a brush, $1 or less, and you can pick them up at Target for $1. I was like, okay, what's wrong with these brushes? So I initially started off with just the blending brush, which is this one. It's their eye blending brush. I was like, this thing's amazing. And then I went and I have two or three of them now. This is like a little flat synthetic shader brush that I bought. I was like, okay, I really like those brushes. And I have two. This one's a little bit, I think one of them is a flat shader brush, and one of them they call a concealer brush. I like them. The blush brushes, the face brushes, the contour brushes, they're all like $3 or $4 each. But for the most part, all the eye brushes are under like $1.50 or less. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to complain about that at all. The Cry on My Couch shade, like I said, it's basically the same color as my skin. I haven't had any issues with this one. This one also doesn't cause my skin to burn or my eyes to burn. I'm going to be using My Boyfriend's Purse and My Apology in this look as well. I love this My Apology shade, but and I've been using, this is a Luxie Studio Pro number 17 brush. But what I think I'm going to do is I haven't used any of these shades wet. It's the only thing I haven't done. So I'll use that brush in a minute. But I'm going to take this little Wet n Wild brush and I'm going to get water on it and then just, you know, squeeze the water out. I'm going to pack this all over my lid. This shade I absolutely love. I love burgundy shades. I think they're so pretty, and I've had no issues with this one either on the dry side. I've even used it with a fluffy brush. You'll see in look number 1, I use this like as a crease color, and I find it absolutely stunning. I love this like burgundy cranberry shade. It is so pretty. This is one of the reasons why I got this palette. This berry shade and the 2 blues. And the 2 blues I have issues with. This shade here, it looks like a satin when you apply it dry. It blends out beautifully dry. When you have hooded eyes, it's hard to get a straight line sometimes. And then I'm going to use this also underneath my lash line as kind of like faux liner while the top dries, and then I'll blend that out. This shade works really nicely. Again, I haven't had any issues with it. The My Boyfriend's Purse shade, which I'll be using next, is also a really nice shade, but it causes my eyes to sting, and I don't know why. It's a nice neutral undertone. I got that shade a little too far in to my eye. I didn't want it down there. Now I'm just kind of smudging it. Alright, now taking the My Boyfriend's Purse on my finger, I'm going to press this right on the center of my lid. And then tap it to disperse the color. Kind of like a halo eye. And then I'm going to use it on the inner corner and then right up underneath the beginning of my lash line. And to finish this off, I'm going to be doing liner with the Milani Eye Tech Extreme. I'll do my L'Oreal Infallible white liner in my waterline, and then I'm going to be going with this eye with the Essence Lash Paradise. But let me finish with this eye first. Next, I'm going to be taking Flat Earth and doing the same thing up here like I did on this side with that same little brush, but I'm going to... There's that eye look up close. I'm going to use my little JCat color switch thingy. Flat Earth stings my eyes, so I have to be very careful when I'm using this. I have to make sure my eyes are closed. It is a pastel, like white, it's a white shade, but it has like this baby blue undertone to it. It's like this very unique color, and I still haven't done swatches for this yet because I wanted to do at least a couple looks with this palette first before I did swatches, because I'll be going over some of this information in my swatch video as well. I'm just kind of using it to lighten that area. Now, I'm going to be using the Simulation and the Exposed shade as well in this look. Simulation is kind of a difficult shade. I'm going to also take this brush and get it wet. That's what I've been using it with. I'm going to start halfway in and go towards the outer edge. I find this shade on its own when it's dry, it comes off a little bit patchy. It looks like a satin shade, but if you use your finger, it does what it does right now, where it looks metallic. It is a beautiful shade, but it does sting my eyes if the powder does get in my eyes, and I don't know why. Again, it stings. It is a little unusual to me. The next shade over, which is called Cancelled, is very odd. I've tried it with several different brushes, and I've had the same reaction with every brush that I've tried it with. It like goes on, and then it buffs away to nothing, absolutely nothing. And I'm like, I don't understand. I'm gonna take the shader brush and go into Exposed. Exposed is like a pastel pink with like a hint of purple in it. It's like I don't know, it's like a baby pink with a hint, like I said, a hint of purple. It's like a purpley pink, really pastel white shade. And I am going all the way up to the blue with it. I find this shade looks chalky on my skin. It's very sheer, and it doesn't, I have to like continually build it up. I'm going to come in with a Morphe, this is an M149 brush. I'm going to go into Controversy and just kind of go in between these two shades here. And my eyelid is moving on me, so that's fun. Put the shade down first, and then I'll buff it. This shade is also like Cancelled. It's very like sheer. It buffs out like to nothing. I have a hard time getting it to look as pigmented as I want it to. Even when I like build it up, if I like manipulate it too much with a brush, it seems to blend away to nothing. So you have to be really careful with this shade and the Cancelled shade for it. I mean, like right in the center of my eye right here, it looks like I don't have a whole lot of color. It's blended away to like nothing. So then you go back in and you try and build up this spot, and you can build color back over it. But if I try and blend, watch. See what it did? It's like it blends away in that spot, and I don't understand why. I have used these with primer and without primer, and I've had the same effect. So I'm not quite sure what is causing it. And I think I'm going to take that shadow off, and then I'm going to go back into exposed with this little brush and try and pack that color on in the front of my eye. And it's looking chalky, so I'm going to press over it. And what that does is it kind of pushes it into my eyelid. And I'm just going to use the shader side of this and just kind of blend over all three at the top. And then I'll add that blue back in. And this palette has a very strange smell. It almost smells like a medicine that I used to take when I was a kid, which is not always a good thing. I'm going to go back into Diet Root Beer and blend up here just a little bit more. And then dragging it under my eye. And I find with these metallic shades, they do tend to blend away, and they do vanish on like folds and creases on my skin. I find that after about 8 hours of wear, they start to look pretty crap. And I even did like a nap test with this blue and the burgundy shade to see how they lasted. The burgundy shade lasted through a nap. The blue shade, it did not. The blue shade just left like a bruised looking section on my eye. It wasn't pretty. And just to go ahead and show you this canceled shade, and then I think that's all the colors in the palette. I've been using this little flat Vera Mono shader brush. I'm going to pick that up and then drag it under my eye. Carefully, because I don't want this stinging my eye. And then I'm going to go into Controversy with this one. And then into Exposed. And it looks like the purple shade on my lid is already like blended away to nothing. So I'm going to add that back. I don't know, it's a very, very strange shadow, the way that it reacts, some of the things that it does. Alright, I will come back with liner and mascara on, and I'll do a lip color in just a second, and I will give you my final thoughts on this palette, because these are all of the shades. Okay, got the mascara and liner and stuff done. I'm going to be using the I Gotta Go shade. I actually really like this shade. And I know you're like supposed to build them up or whatever, but. And then I'm going to take the Shane shade. I haven't used the shade yet. Oh, I got some where I didn't want it, but. That was weird. Made an interesting color. Okay, so far out of everything that I bought for this collection, which is the 4 lips and the palette, I have not used the Oh My God shade yet. I did use the Ryland shade. I've used the I Gotta Go shade like quite a bit, and then of course I just used the Shane shade. So with just only using the 3 lip shades, I've been using them for the past like 3 days. I'm actually very surprised. I did a lip color and an eye look and then laid down and took a nap the other day, and I was surprised that when I woke up I was still wearing the shade. I was very surprised that it was still on my lips after like sleeping for 3 hours because I've been sick. I used Ryland in an eye look. I did an eye look and then put it all over my lid with a brush. I was shocked at how well it stayed. It didn't cause my eyes to sting or burn. It didn't feel thick like the steel glitter and glows and the shimmer and glows do on my eyes. Like I can feel those. I couldn't feel this. I thought that was amazing. I did another eye look where I put this underneath and then put the my boyfriend's purse over it. Stunning, absolutely stunning. Again, I just used the Shane shade for the first time, so I don't know, much about it. But the palette, I am wearing all of the shades right now. If this was me designing a palette, number one, I would get rid of Cry on My Couch. It's not necessary at all, period. And it's literally like, can you see it? Let me do it again. Can you see it? Yeah, no. It's the same color as my skin. I could probably use this as a under eye setting powder. Or like I just did to erase some extra maroon out here I didn't want. My Apology shade, the Simulation shade, and the My Boyfriend's Purse shade are all beautiful shimmers. You can use them wet, you can use them dry, you can use even like a fluffy brush and like blend them out. I used the Burgundy shade all through my crease for the first look, and I used this brush to do it, just to buff and blend it out. It made it look more like a satin instead of a shimmer or a metallic shade, so I thought that was stunning. I like how they go on. The My Boyfriend's Purse and the Simulation shade does sting my eyes just a little bit. My Apology doesn't. None of these shades have stained my skin. I haven't had any problems with staining. When it comes to the other shades, Flat Earth and Exposed are very, very chalky shades, like it is on this eye right here. Very, very, very chalky, very white looking on my skin. It makes my skin look extra dry, which is not cool. I think there needs to be a little bit more of the pigment versus the white base, and that's just my personal opinion on them. I think that's what's causing them to look a little chalky, but they do blend, but you really have to pack them on, and I find that the opacity on them, because they're so light, unless you are if you're darker than me, I don't know how these shades are going to work on anybody. You're going to see your eyelid skin right through the shades because they're very sheer. The Controversy and the Cancelled shade, both of which I had the same problem with. You put them on and you go to blend them out and they blend away. Like, the pigment, it leaves a little bit of color, but then it leaves like bald patchy spots, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. I've applied it with my finger and then tried to blend with a brush. I have used flat synthetic brushes with it. I used this double-sided brush where I packed it on with the flat side and then blended it out with the other side, and it didn't seem to matter what I did. It blended away to absolutely nothing. They both also sting my eyes really badly, like somebody like put salt in my eye. So I don't know what it is about them. The Diet Root Beer shade is a beautiful shade. It's a nice neutral rich brown. It works very well for transition colors. I don't know, some people were saying that you could contour with it. It's too dark for me to contour because I'm paper, but it is a really nice shade. So for me, I have issues with these two here. I have 4 shades out of here that sting my eye. We have one that I could care less about, it's the shade that I would use for like an eraser shade. I screwed up and I'm going to use that to erase a mistake. These two, like I said, are very chalky on the skin, and it's just my personal opinion on it. And the shimmers are absolutely stunning. And like I said, you can use them and blend them out and create a really nice look with them. You can apply them wet, you can apply them dry, and they seem to work really well. So this is just a first impression kind of wrap up for me. I have done 6 looks with this before this video, so I did 6 looks. I did 1 look on either eye within a span of like 14 hours. So I got up Saturday afternoon, I did 2 looks. I then a few hours later took a shower and did 2 more looks. I laid down and took a couple hour nap. Early in the morning of Sunday morning, I got up, watched, I did take pictures and video of what the looks looked like after like sleeping or multiple hours of wear. I did take like pictures and video, so I will, I'll be doing like a recap of that. Like when I try to test this out for another few weeks, those will go into that video. I did 2 more looks like at like 1:30 or 2 o'clock Sunday morning. So within a span of like 12 hours or less, I did 6 different looks. So this is Monday night, more like Tuesday morning for me, but the, I don't know. I really like a lot of the shades. I have no problems with the shade selection. I just find that unless you have a very specific vision in mind, you're going to have a difficult time trying to get this palette to work for you, especially with the 2 other matte shades in here that I had difficulty with. I will have to try them out and see like if I apply them wet and then try and like blend them out while they're wet and see if that might work. Or blend it and then like go back in with a wet brush and pack the shades on. I'm not quite sure if that would help, but again, this is like the 8th look that I've created with this palette within 3 days. So it hasn't even been 72 hours since I've used this palette. So I'll continue to use this for the rest of November, which we have about a week left. We have 7 days left, or six days left in the month. I will continue to use this, and then at the end of the month, my Shop My Stash recap, I will do like an update on this. So if you guys are curious, you can watch that, and we'll see how it goes. So hopefully you guys like this first impression kind of breakdown. It's not a first impression video. I already used this 6 times before this. This is more of a full breakdown on what my first impressions were, what my experiences were using each of the shadows, how they worked, how they blended. So I'm Rebecca Oberstadt. I will see you guys in another video. I would say tomorrow, but I'm still sick, so we'll see how this goes. So I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully, whether it's a video or a live stream, and hopefully you all have a fantastic day or night, wherever you are. I will see you later. Bye.